former NFL offensive lineman Brian Baldinger with a little film breakdown analysis of some of the Browns' rookies on defense against the Ravens.
Can't help but notice the rookies on Cleveland's defense. First-round pick Mason Graham. Second-round pick Carson Schlesinger. Free agent Aiden Huntington. And you watch this play with Derrick Henry coming right at him right here. And you watch how they play it. They play it perfectly. Huntington gets the outside, squeezes it. Schlesinger goes low. Good physical play at the point of attack. 2 yards for the King. Then you watch Mason Graham right here, working on the all-pro center, right? You watch how he physically gets there, defeats the block, and then tackles Derrick Henry for a solo tackle. Like, they're young, but they're playing the game the right way. And for long stretches of this game, they played really well in the trenches.
Yeah, you know, the problem, Spencer, they were on the field way too much. The rookie's been really good. I know you've talked about kind of a weakness that the Ravens exposed in the Browns' defense. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's certainly not those guys up front, and it's certainly not I think even the second level, which is interesting because, you know, had you asked at the start of the season, what are you most worried about on defense, or maybe even going back to the start of training camp, if you would ask like what area you're worried about the most, once Jordan Hicks retired, I think most people probably would have said that linebacker room is maybe a little shaky and you didn't know what to expect from Carson Schlesinger. Then we got the context of how amazing he looked in training camp, and it was like, okay, maybe this group's going to be okay. And I actually think with him and even like Devin Bush, I think he's played really well. Diabate's had some moments. Like they're making the plays from that middle group, and like you're not really worried at all about that front seven. I'm sure it's all sort of fueled by the guys up front in particular, because they make life a lot easier for those guys because they're able to penetrate and get in the backfield a lot. But those two front groups are phenomenal right now. It's the secondary that I think got exposed a little bit by Baltimore, and it's going to continue to be an issue. I don't know that, like here's the thing. If Denzel Ward can stay healthy, which was obviously he was out for a long stretch of this game this past weekend because he was dealing with cramping. It was hot. There was dehydration going on. He admitted to that. And like if he's not out there, I think the problem becomes, can you trust guys like Cameron Mitchell? Can you trust guys like Miles Harden in coverage for, 40, 30, 40, 50 plays in a game? And I think we saw on Sunday that you can't. It's a real problem right now. They've had the luxury of having, and I know Martin Emerson Jr. had a bad year last year, took a step back last year, but having him, Denzel, and Greg, sort of the frontline guys in the secondary, has been sort of a luxury for this team the last couple of years, and now you're realizing that they just don't have the talent sort of filling in behind them. It's also interesting because Andrew Berry has almost always taken a defensive back in his drafts, and he didn't take one this year. This was the first year he didn't, so he was kind of leaning on their depth being built around guys that he had drafted previously, and right now those guys are sort of the weak links on the secondary. So, it helps that you have a defensive line that's so good because then you don't have to cover quite as long. But I do think that if Denzel Ward is if he gets injured at any point this season, even if Greg Newsome, who's played really well, gets injured at any point this season, or if those guys have to leave the field, it seems like this secondary is very vulnerable to giving up bigger plays and having some miscues that teams can exploit. And I don't know that that's just going to go away or solve itself. It's going to continue to be a problem, especially against some of these other teams that have really good offenses that are coming up on the schedule.
Yeah, the Packers come to mind because Jordan Love will he'll throw to 9 different receivers.
Everyone. Yeah.